Young Dolph and Yo Gotti, two Memphis legends locked in a feud that ended in bloodshed. What started as a music rivalry turned into deadly violence.
Shooting outside of Makeda's, the incident captured on video. Young Dolph.
With shootings, ambushes, and a murder that shook the city. Now, shocking new details reveal the alleged mastermind behind young Dolph's assassination. Was this a planned hit fueled by... Prosecutors claim a $100,000 bounty sealed Dolph's fate, linking the crime to Yo Gotti's inner circle. Today, we uncover the truth behind the bullets that silenced Memphis. The feud between young Dolph and Yo Gotti didn't begin with bullets. It started with business. In 2014, young Dolph was making waves in Memphis as an independent artist. He built his own label, Paper Route Empire, PRE, without the backing of major industry players. Around this time, Yo Gotti, who had already solidified himself as one of the South's biggest rappers, offered Dolph a deal with Cmg, Collective Music Group. For most up-and-coming rappers, signing with a major label, especially one led by an artist as established as Gotti, would be a dream come true. But Dolph turned it down. And he didn't just reject the offer, he made sure everyone knew about it. He took pride in being independent, stating in interviews that he didn't want to be under anyone's control. At first, Gotti remained quiet about the rejection, but behind the scenes, tension started building. In the rap industry, turning down a deal is one thing, but doing it publicly can bruise egos. Dolph's refusal to join Cmg wasn't just a business decision, it was a statement. He was positioning himself as a rival to Gotti, making it clear that he didn't need him to succeed. Dolph's confidence only grew as his music started gaining traction. In 2016, he dropped his debut studio album, King of Memphis. The title itself was a direct challenge to Gotti, who had long considered himself the king of the city. While Gotti chose to stay silent, others in his camp, like Cmg artist Black Youngsta, took offense. Black Youngsta wasted no time making his loyalty to Gotti known. He released a diss track aimed at Dolph, and even recorded himself walking through Dolph's old neighborhood, flashing weapons, and claiming that Dolph wasn't as real as he portrayed himself to be. For a while, this back and forth remained a war of words, but things started escalating. Dolph wasn't just another rapper throwing shots, he was becoming a real threat to Cmg's dominance in Memphis. And when egos and money are involved, rap beefs rarely stay on wax. Soon, the situation took a turn from mere rivalry to something much more dangerous. The next time Dolph and Gotti's camps clashed, it wouldn't be in the studio, it would be on the streets. But when did this rivalry cross the line into violence? That answer came in 2017, when young Dolph dropped the track that changed his whole course of life. By early 2017, the tension between young Dolph and Yo Gotti was no longer just an industry secret. It was a full-blown rivalry playing out in the public eye. While Gotti had remained relatively quiet about the feud, Dolph was making sure everyone knew where he stood, and in February 2017, he dropped the track that would change everything.
Don't play with me. Don't do that. Play with your. Don't play with me.
This wasn't just a regular diss track. It was personal, disrespectful, and designed to humiliate Yo Gotti. Dolph didn't hold back. He not only called Gotti weak, fake, and jealous, but he also claimed he had been with the mother of Gotti's child. In hip-hop, there are certain lines you don't cross, and mentioning another rapper's family, especially in this way, is one of them. Gotti, known for his business-savvy approach to the rap game, refused to take the bait, at least publicly. Instead of responding with a diss track of his own, he took to social media and brushed it off. On Twitter, he downplayed the situation, saying he was focused on business and bigger things, writing, "I'm business partners with L.A. Reid and Jay-Z." But behind the scenes, things were escalating. While Gotti may have taken the high road in the public eye, his CMG affiliate Black Youngsta had a very different approach. Youngsta, known for his aggressive persona, took it upon himself to retaliate on Gotti's behalf. He released his own diss track aimed at Dolph, and even went as far as recording himself prowling through Dolph's old South Memphis neighborhood while flashing firearms. At this point, it was clear the beef had left the studio and entered the streets. And when egos, street ties, and money mix, rap feuds don't just end with diss tracks. Dolph wasn't backing down. Instead of toning things down after the release of Play With Yo, he doubled down on his attacks. He even went as far as filming a music video for the track featuring a Yo Gotti lookalike, further taunting his rival. Tensions had reached a boiling point. What started as an industry dispute had turned into an all-out war. It wasn't just about music anymore. Reputations, street credibility, and dominance were all on the line. Then came February 25th, 2017. The day young Dolph's life was nearly taken in a hail of bullets. February 25th, 2017 was supposed to be another day on the road for young Dolph. He was in Charlotte, North Carolina for CIBA weekend, one of the biggest gatherings in hip-hop and sports. But before he could make it to his scheduled performances, his SUV was sprayed with bullets, over 100 rounds fired in broad daylight. Most people wouldn't survive an attack like that. But Dolph? He had come prepared. Knowing he had enemies, Dolph had invested in a bulletproof SUV, a decision that likely saved his life. The attack left the vehicle riddled with holes, but Dolph walked away without a scratch. Not only did he survive, but he also performed a concert that same night, proving to the world that he wasn't going to let fear control him. The streets were already talking, but now the conversation changed. Who was behind the hit? At first, there was no concrete evidence pointing to anyone, but suspicions immediately fell on CMG and Yo Gotti's camp. The timing, the level of firepower used, and the ongoing beef all made it clear this was no random attack. And just a few months later, those suspicions were all but confirmed when authorities arrested Black Youngsta and 2 associates for their alleged involvement in the shooting. Charlotte Mecklenburg police charged Youngsta and his co-defendants with 6 counts of discharging a weapon into occupied property and felony conspiracy. The allegations were clear. Black Youngsta, a known Yo Gotti affiliate, had orchestrated the attack to take out Dolph once and for all. But despite the serious charges, Youngsta didn't spend much time behind bars. He quickly posted bail, and over time, the charges were eventually dropped due to lack of evidence. Dolph, however, saw the shooting as nothing more than motivation. Instead of hiding or staying quiet, he turned the attempted hit into fuel for his music. Just 2 months later, in April 2017, he released a new album with a title that mocked the entire situation, Bulletproof. And if the title wasn't enough, the track list read like a direct message to his enemies. 100 shots, in Charlotte, but I'm bulletproof, so fuck 'em. Dolph wasn't just surviving, he was thriving, using the situation to solidify his legacy as one of the realest rappers in the game. But while he might have felt untouchable, his enemies weren't done yet. Because just a few months later, in Los Angeles, young Dolph was targeted again. Only this time, he wasn't so lucky. Just months after surviving a 100-round ambush in Charlotte, young Dolph found himself in another life-or-death situation. This time, it was September 26, 2017, and the setting had moved from the streets of the South to the glitz and glam of Hollywood, California. But even in the land of the stars, Dolph couldn't escape the shadows of his Memphis feud. That day, Dolph was outside the Luz Hollywood Hotel, one of the busiest spots in Los Angeles. Witnesses say he was involved in a heated argument with multiple men near the valet area. What started as a verbal dispute quickly turned violent, and within moments, gunfire erupted. Unlike Charlotte, where Dolph had the protection of a bulletproof SUV. This time, he was exposed. 3 bullets hit him, 1 in the arm and 2 in the torso. He collapsed on the pavement as chaos broke out. The shooters fled the scene, and Dolph was left bleeding out in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, and Dolph was quickly transported to a nearby hospital. While his injuries were serious, he once again survived, a testament to his resilience and almost unbelievable ability to escape death. But the biggest question remained: who pulled the trigger? The Yo Gotti connection. As soon as the news broke, speculation went into overdrive. Given Dolph's ongoing feud with Yo Gotti and Cmg, all eyes turned toward Gotti's camp. Things escalated even further when Corey McClendon, a known Yo Gotti associate, was arrested in connection to the shooting. McClendon, a longtime Memphis native and affiliate of Cmg, was taken into custody just hours after the shooting and charged with attempted murder. Police believed he was directly involved in the attack on Dolph, possibly even the shooter himself. But just 2 days later, McClendon was released without charges due to a lack of evidence. It was a frustrating repeat of what had happened in the Charlotte shooting. Once again, there was enough smoke to suspect involvement from Gotti's camp, but legally, nothing stuck. Dolph fires back, literally and musically. Despite being shot 3 times, Dolph wasted no time turning pain into profit. While still recovering in the hospital, he made sure to let the world know he wasn't done yet. Less than 2 months after the shooting, he released another project, Thinking Out Loud. One of the standout tracks, While You Here, where Dolph reflected on life, death, and how quickly things could change. He knew the streets were watching, and he knew he was running out of chances. At this point, it was clear this wasn't just a rap beef, it was a war. And as much as Dolph had dodged death, his luck wouldn't last forever. Because just 4 years later, in 2021, young Dolph would be gunned down in Memphis. This time, there was no escape. For years, young Dolph had managed to survive multiple attempts on his life. He had walked away from a 100-shot ambush in Charlotte and had recovered after being gunned down in Hollywood. Each time, he came back stronger, using the violence against him as fuel for his music and motivation to build his Paper Route Empire, PRE, label. But on November 17, 2021, young Dolph's luck finally ran out. That morning, Dolph was back in his hometown of Memphis, a place that had shaped him, but also made him a target. Unlike other rappers who distanced themselves from their city after fame, Dolph never left Memphis behind. He gave back to his community, regularly donating money, organizing charity events, and supporting local businesses. One of those businesses was Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies, a well-known bakery he often visited. That day, he made what seemed like a routine stop. He had no idea it would be his last. At 12:24 p.m., as Dolph stood inside the bakery, 2 masked gunmen pulled up in a white Mercedes-Benz. Without hesitation, they jumped out and opened fire. Surveillance footage later revealed that the shooters were heavily armed, one with a Draco AK-47 style pistol and the other with a semi-automatic handgun. They unleashed a hail of bullets, striking Dolph 22 times across his head, neck, back, chin, and arms. By the time the shooters fled the scene, Dolph was dead. News of his murder spread like wildfire. Within minutes, fans and locals rushed to the crime scene, mourning in shock and disbelief. Memphis police were immediately on high alert, anticipating possible retaliation and increased violence across the city. But the biggest question remained: who ordered the hit? The investigation and arrests. Authorities wasted no time launching an intense investigation. Just days after the murder, surveillance images of the masked gunmen and their getaway vehicle were released to the public. The white Mercedes-Benz used in the attack was later found abandoned in South Memphis, providing investigators with their first major lead. Over the next 2 years, Memphis authorities worked to build their case, eventually arresting 4 men in connection to the killing. The key suspects were Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, a Memphis-based rapper with known ties to the streets. He was identified as one of the shooters and was arrested after a nationwide manhunt. Cornelius Smith, the second gunman, also charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind of the plot, charged with orchestrating the murder. Prosecutors claim he ordered the hit on behalf of higher powers. Jermarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's half-brother, charged with accessory after the fact for helping the suspects evade police. Each arrest brought more questions. Who paid for the hit? Was this a personal vendetta, or was there a bigger force behind it? Then, in 2024, a shocking revelation changed everything. Shelby County prosecutors dropped a bombshell in court, alleging that Yo Gotti's brother, Anthony Big Juke Mims, was behind the hit. The Big Juke connection. Was this a CMG-ordered assassination? During the trial of Justin Johnson, prosecutors claimed that Big Juke put out a $100,000 bounty on young Dolph. The money, according to witnesses, was allegedly promised to Johnson as an incentive to earn a spot in CMG. This revelation sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. For years, the connection between Dolph's murder and Yo Gotti's camp had been rumored, but never confirmed. Now, prosecutors were openly stating in court that Gotti's own brother had ordered the hit. But before Big Juke could face justice, he met his own violent end. On January 13, 2024, Memphis was rocked by yet another high-profile killing. This time, it was Anthony Big Juke Mims, the older brother of Yo Gotti, and a key figure in CMG, Collective Music Group. Big Juke was more than just Yo Gotti's brother. He was deeply involved in the business side of CMG, acting as a behind-the-scenes enforcer and a critical piece of Gotti's operation. Over the years, he built a reputation for being heavily connected to the streets, maintaining strong ties to Memphis's underground. But in early 2024, his life came to a violent end outside a restaurant in the Hickory Hill area of Memphis. Details of Big Juke's murder remain somewhat scarce, but here's what we do know. He was shot multiple times in broad daylight. It was a targeted hit, not a random act of violence. No suspects have been identified or arrested as of now. The killing happened just 2 years after young Dolph was murdered, leading many to speculate that this was retaliation, a response to the 2021 hit on Dolph. Was this a calculated street move, or was it Memphis's underworld settling unfinished business? Is this retaliation for Dolph's death? Big Juke's killing came just days after court testimony alleged that he was involved in putting out a $100,000 hit on young Dolph. During the trial of Justin Straight Drop Johnson, one of the alleged shooters in Dolph's murder, prosecutors claimed that Big Juke was the one who ordered the hit. The money was allegedly promised to Johnson as an incentive to prove himself and earn his way into CMG. If these claims were true, then Big Juke wasn't just an associate. He was the orchestrator of Dolph's assassination. And in the streets, blood debts are never forgotten. The timing of Big Juke's murder is what makes this all so suspicious. It happened shortly after his name was publicly linked to Dolph's killing in a courtroom setting. Was his execution a direct response to this revelation? Was it someone within Dolph's camp getting revenge? Authorities have been tight-lipped about making an official connection between the two murders, but the streets don't believe in coincidences. No arrests, no answers. Unlike young Dolph's murder, where multiple suspects were arrested within months, Big Juke's case remains unsolved. No suspects have been named. No arrests have been made. No one has publicly claimed responsibility. It's as if whoever did this knew exactly how to move in silence. Some believe it was an inside job, while others think the streets took care of their own justice. Either way, Big Juke's murder left a power vacuum in CMG, and the consequences of his death could reshape the Memphis rap scene for years to come. Big Juke's assassination proved one thing: this war wasn't over. The beef between CMG and PRE didn't die with young Dolph, and it didn't end with Big Juke either. The cycle of violence keeps claiming lives, and Memphis remains on edge, wondering who will be next. This feud changed Memphis forever, leaving questions that may never be answered. Do you think justice has been served, or is there more to this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real stories from the streets of hip-hop.